So, of course, we have seen in the Indian landscape, value being derived purely from material. And this has been a debate for very long. Even till date, it takes a certain amount of, I would say, understanding to meet your client halfway and have them sort of see the value in a piece beyond just the material breakdown. And I'll be honest, sometimes it's possible to do, and sometimes, you like I said, luxury never explains itself. So some get it and some don't. Being a modern woman today that probably appreciates jewelry myself, I do know that the modern woman wants more than just the pretty piece. And I think when we understand that, we will go beyond the basics. So the modern woman of today wants comfort when she's wearing the jewelry. She wants a story behind the jewelry, and she also wants to understand the value of what she's wearing, which is very endearing, because that's really what makes it well worth its while. So I spend time on the floor, of course, talking to clients whenever I have the space to be able to do that. I like to read their reactions and even, check how they wear our jewelry. So if it means them trying it on, I go through a lot of social media posts to be able to see how the jewelry is being worn, because we get tagged a lot. And thank you for the buzzword. Functionality is so important when it comes to designing jewelry, especially for me, because as a person too, utility for me is everything. Be it any kind of fashion. If you can't wear it, and it's more sort of, stressful for you to find, a comfortable means of being able to use the piece, why bother at all? So functionality is key. I've actually seen some Instagram handles where they will take your product shoot and then they will try reselling your product through your product shoot. So it will have nothing to do with your brand, but your pictures are all over. I've seen that not just with the fashion jewelry. I have also seen that with the mother brand fine jewelry. It is disappointing, but like I said, it's something that is a part and parcel, and social media has its pros and cons. I think the benefit as far as Bohemian was concerned, because I kind of did foresee this happening, fashion jewelry is very easy to rip off because the material doesn't, you don't require that a kind of budget as well. So to be able to step away from this completely, part of the manufacturing was controlled outside of India, and I think this was one of my motivations, to be able to ensure a quality that is not easily replicable and becomes your USP as well. So I think that is one place where we overcame the challenge quite easily. Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to all our alumni who are joining us here today, and our special guest for today, Miss Mitali Nanda Vohra. A little about Mitali. Of course, we will learn a lot more about her during the session. But Mitali is an accomplished owner for a brand called Bohemian. She is the retail business owner for the Bohemian, and she is also director of marketing and business development for Rupa Vohra House of Design. Um, she has had a wonderful, I would say, journey in terms of her learning and getting to where she is today, heading this beautiful, jewelry line. So she's academically a Bachelor of Arts from Emerson College in Boston. She's done her history of jewelry design with Christie's, and she's also a master's in business, art business from Sotheby's. So all along, it has been about the gems and jewelry for Mitali, and we are really excited to learn much more from her about how is it that I'm sure it was something very natural for her, but we would still like to know how did it get started and how has been the journey all along. So I turn it over to you, Shiv. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manisha. And the first thing that I sort of caught on as as I was looking through Mitali's profile and the company that she founded was the name, right? The Bohemian. It really sticks out, doesn't it? I mean, it's the meaning itself is quite unconventional. So we have someone who will be talking about that. Mitali, first of all, thank you for graciously accepting to be a part of Evolve. Um, my first question to you is primarily on the name Bohemian. So, what inspired you to create the Bohemian, the name Bohemian, and the business? And if you could also talk a little bit about how did your love for fashion and luxury experiences sort of influence this decision of yours?
Thank you, Shiv. Thank you for such a warm welcome and very excited to be here. So the Bohemian was born out of a desire to bring a sense of playfulness and sort of like an individuality to the luxury fashion world. I've always believed in fashion being and retail being fun and personal and relatable. So while I did grow up surrounded by precious fine jewelry, I noticed a gap in the market around 2016 for stylish, high quality design. And, I decided to create a label that would be more accessible to the modern day woman and something that she could wear every day, something that reflected her personality. With my deep love for travel, for vibrant culture, and passion for design, I decided to come up with a label that kind of encompassed all of this together behind the idea Bohemian. And that's what Bohemian became. It's a mix of Indian craftsmanship with a global soul. It's bold, it's colorful, and full of character. And of course, my own retail experiences has shaped that in its own way, be it internationally or locally. A big sentiment behind the label is, satisfactory retail experience, and of course, luxury at its finest. That's what drives me, and that's the motivation behind the label.
Interesting, and we'll uncover more as we speak. Uh, Circle back to something that you mentioned. I mean, you grew around jewelry, right? Uh, so, Mitali, if I were to ask you, you were around jewelry, right, from your childhood. You've grown up around your mother, who's a fabulous jewelry designer herself, and brings that very beautiful Indian craftsmanship and the artistry of Teva art. Uh, Under the Rupa Vohra fine jewelry brand. And uh, with that sort of an influence around you, how do you think that that sort of legacy has shaped your taste, your personal design choices, and did it in any way influence your brand identity and brand philosophy when you founded the Bohemian?
Sure. So, of course, growing up around Rupa Vohra, the brand, Rupa Vohra, the designer of Theva fame, where, traditionally speaking, jewelry was, around me was fine and precious, etc. And of such high standard. Of course, it felt like attending jewelry school from a very young age, but without knowing it. Ended up imbibing so much, and then you only realize later everything that you have actually through your environment learned. So I think one of my biggest takeaways from having this absolute privilege is watching something come to life from scratch. Jewelry is beautiful in its finished form, and that's how we are used to receiving it. But there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And I think to be able to see that from scratch, see an idea being born. As you know, she didn't actually have a foothold in the industry, and she made one for herself. So everything was from scratch. So be it, like a design that was worked on, the creation of that design, sketches, the manufacturing process. You may have a design, now you have to see how your stones will fit in that design, the production process, commercial viability, um, eventually, understanding the supply chain and many such other important aspects till the jewelry is finally presented to the client. I think that attention to detail gave me an early understanding of jewelry making from the start, as not just something that's, beautiful, but also is deeply personal. And that stayed with me. However, at the same time, I have always felt a pull to carve my own space. And I hold the values that I did learn on the way, from craftsmanship to heritage, very close when I'm, creating my own design, with a sort of youthful and expressive twist of my own. And color is one of the takeaways that I have had, since in the Rupa Vora House of Design, we use a lot of color. We work with a lot of carved gemstones. And so Bohemian has imbibed that in the fashion jewelry space. So it's my way of reflecting today's spirit while honoring where I still come from. And I think along with that, just to share a little, design story. So when we created one of our most popular resin designs from the Bohemian, it was called the oval filigree earring. And when we started showing it at trunk shows, I had a lot of clients tell me that it reminded them of the Rupa Vora aesthetic. They said, Acha, this looks like Theva, because it had the same filigree motif. So, interestingly, inspiration will always find you, on its own. And I think huge inspiration for my mother was, the East European influences, be it the trellis motif, the churches, stained glass paintings, etc. Having similar exposures and growing up around that, it is going to find its way in when it comes to you being creative as well. So of course, there's a lot of overlap in aesthetic and color in the Bohemian as well.
One thing which I wanted to understand from you, Mitali, and this I think would also help the audience understand. So when you say luxury, and on the same front, you also talk about fashion jewelry. I think these are two terms that, at least in the trade, we've sort of understood that these are two ends of the poles, right? So how do you sort of view that, and where does the bohemian fit in that?
Sure. So, again, Bohemian is beyond just a trend. It's a way of living. It's a vision that encompasses free-spirited, easy living. And in Indian luxury, which is often rich and traditional, this kind of lightness may feel refreshing and, like you said, an oxymoron. But with the Bohemian, we do try to bring that spirit alive through the pieces that we are creating, which have a contemporary aesthetic. While we do use materials like brass and silver, and we are experimenting a lot with enamel colors, each design is brought about in a way where the quality that we're putting forward is of a very high prime standard. And this is really what we mean by luxury. Um, to be able to convince your audience and your target clientele that your product is of a certain value standard, the piece has to speak for itself, because that's the whole point of luxury. Luxury is not explained, it's not broken down in material, it just speaks. And I think a huge part of the process for us was the research and development that went into creating the product and ensuring a certain quality and standard was in place to be able to find its space in the luxury world while still being affordable. Affordable by the virtue of the materials being used. We may not be using precious stones and, fine jewelry. We may be giving you a cost effective alternate, but at the same time we are not in any way compromising in the quality. And the standard that comes to the client is of luxury uh, quality. And we don't compromise anywhere in terms of um, material, or even in terms of the kind of design and the sophistication of design. There's a lot that goes into creating the piece. And so we what we're aiming for is effortless jewelry which can be worn every day or on occasions, mixed and matched, made your own, but at the same time something that feels really luxe, and to be enjoyed.
Beautiful. I mean, what is jewelry if it's not meant to be enjoyed, if it's not meant to be
Absolutely.
adorned, right? There was quite a lot to unpack from that, Mitali, and I want to touch upon a few of those aspects, definitely. One, you mentioned the sort of importance given to R&D, right? And especially when you are uh, experimenting with new materials, new techniques, I'm sure there is a lot of research and development involved. And uh, to a large extent, I'm also envious of the fact that you get to play around with things that you love. But let's keep that aside for the moment. I want you to expand a little bit on what goes behind uh, the research and development in finding new materials, in finding new uh, techniques. And how do you go about that? Is there some sort of a systematic way for anyone they would love to sort of learn, maybe taking some cues from the path that you have walked?
Like I mentioned, the Bohemian was created keeping in mind a global standard in terms of quality. It is a fashion jewelry brand, so we did experiment with many different materials that come under fashion jewelry. Um, but our main driving factor, even in terms of research and development, was to keep in mind a certain kind of quality that cannot be easily manufactured in India, and or is not easily available in India.
Okay,
So
got
to
it.
be able to ensure this standard of quality, we thought up materials that would help us reach that quality. So, for example, resin jewelry in India may not be as popular.
Mhm.
The manufacturing of resin jewelry in India is also still catching speed. We chose to manufacture abroad to be able to ensure a certain kind of quality.
Got it.
Later on, when we made certain designs which were of Indian aesthetic and probably did not require the resin, uh,
Mhm.
we continued to experiment. For example, we started off with Swarovski to imitate the diamond and the uncut diamond, but we quickly moved to moissanite. Our whole, I feel, driving factor in the research and development, as well as the innovation in terms of material, has always been one, experimentation, and two, whatever we deliver to the consumer must be of a very high standard,
Mhm.
and whatever it takes to be able to do that in terms of material, we will do. So if it means moving from brass to silver to offer more durability, we will do that. Aesthetically speaking, if a piece looks better in moissanite over Swarovski, we will use that. And again, as far as Bohemian is concerned, I was inspired by a lot of Art Deco, and to be able to bring that to life in fashion jewelry, enamel is one of the primary materials that is used in Art Deco. And of course, there are interesting stones that Art Deco uses, from moonstone to black onyx, and jade. And in the fashion jewelry world, this is easily replicable using resin in its different forms. So we experimented with all kinds of resins. We made molds in pearly resin. We did transparent resin. We did all kinds to be able to imitate the stones that the Art Deco period used.
Beautiful. It's so fascinating to hear you talk about it, and also the fact that you're so passionate about it. Uh, I also want to touch upon something that you mentioned, but before that, hearing everything that you said, Mitali, I want to ask you slightly a maybe controversial question. All right. Um, we love the fact. I mean, when we speak to retailers, we get to hear that. Uh, this is the jewelry that they're selling, and this is the reason why they sell it at a certain price, because this is the gold, this is the metal cost, this is the gemstone cost, and there is that whole debate about whether breakup should be offered or not offered and all that. Where do you stand on that? And I ask you particularly because the jewelry that you are creating doesn't necessarily involve these rare precious metals and gemstones, and you still qualify and ascertain that this is a quality product, and do certainly charge a premium because of the experience surrounding it. So where do you stand on this whole debate of offering breakups or not? And is it easy or relatively easy to be able to command a certain premium?
So yeah, great question. You know, in terms of valuation, and this is a very interesting question coming on a GIA platform, because as you know, at GIA, we spend a great amount of time, just studying stones to be able to understand what the valuation system is, be it Rappaport or, how do we value the diamond. So, of course, we have seen in the Indian landscape, value being derived purely from material. And this has been a debate for very long. Even till date, it takes a certain amount of, I would say, understanding to meet your client halfway and have them sort of see the value in a piece beyond just the material breakdown. And I'll be honest, sometimes it's possible to do, and sometimes, like I said, luxury never explains itself. So some get it and some don't, and that's just how it is. But again, I come from an education where we learn all metrics of valuation. So, be it my education at GIA, where we actually learned the technicalities of the stone and how it's valued, to my education at Sotheby's, where I did a master's in art business. Um, I think there too, we through many conversations and case studies, we came to learn the different metrics of valuation, which entail, not just the size of the stone and its origin, but we're also talking about a finished piece of art, and how it can be valued using maybe who owned it before it came to the floor, its historical context, provenance, etc. So today there are more, I would say, non-conventional metrics of valuation away from what we have been using so far. And to be honest, with the Bohemian, initially it did take a little groundbreaking as far as the Indian clientele was concerned, to be able to provide them a picture that understood the product beyond what they recognized as value. It also takes a certain kind of recognition and visibility for the product to start speaking for itself, and for you to be able to demand the tag that you place on your design. But I do hope that we have a bigger population that's joining this side of the camp, and that people do start recognizing value behind design too, because like we discussed earlier, it takes a lot from research and development to the manufacturing process, and a lot of ideation uh, for us to be able to bring a concept forward in terms of design. And there is a lot of value behind that too. In fact, the love for the craft is the value in itself.
True. The most amazing and the most intangible value that can be associated with the jewelry piece is the fact that it goes through several hands. It has these amazing techniques behind it and these amazing materials as well. Uh, Great that you touched upon the fact that you have had this pedigree of education. I refer to your graduation with at Emerson, and then the GIA program, the Graduate Diamonds program, uh, and then the masters from Sotheby's. Uh, Mitali, help me understand how has each of these, uh, particularly GIA, helped you in your journey today? And if you could also maybe recollect any sort of campus story, uh, how were you as a student? Uh, just tell us how has that experience been for you?
So, of course, both incredibly eye-opening experiences, both at GIA as well as Sotheby's and Christie's. While GIA gave me a deep respect for stones, structure, rarity, how to evaluate them as we spoke before, it was never just theory. It taught me to see jewelry differently. Sotheby's as well opened my eyes to the business of art and luxury. And, these interactions taught me how global brands think and operate. So, this is today how, this kind of education teaches you how to view brand value, how to view consumer behavior, legacy. And, it also brings forth, especially GIA, because it's at a global scale, from GIA Mumbai to GIA New York, Carlsbad, all of that together. It makes you realize how Indian design can sit on, or even Indian jewelry can sit on the same table as global luxury. It really depends on how you present it, and there is a lot of learning that you can take away from these experiences. An interesting story at GI, of course, was the day of my exam, when I had to, when we were told to, grade 100 and something diamonds. And, it was the most grueling experience at first for someone who's not used the microscope. But I think it was very, let's say, well worth it, and something that really hones and shapes your eye for detail. And the story goes as such. I think I freaked myself out so much. This was about 8, 9 years ago.
Mhm.
Prior to my exam, I fell sick,
Oh,
and they had to reschedule it specifically because of the, how stressed I was, to be able to grade so many. But that just goes to show the quality of education at GIA. They don't mark you easy, and they don't leave you easy. You have to work very hard to be able to be called a diamond grader, and all aspects are taken into consideration, and you're really put to the test. Your eye is really put to the test.
absolutely. As people in this today's online session, all of them alumni will certainly be attesting to the fact, nodding, saying that yes, we've all been through those grueling days. Mitali, I want to understand from you now. So when we talk about Bohemian, and this is what I read up about the Bohemian, you say that you design for the savvy women of today, right? I want to understand from you, uh, how do you first stay in tune with what does the savvy woman of today want, right? This is probably a $1 billion question, which gets asked around mostly at men's forums, uh, which is what does she want? But purely from a jewelry perspective and creating a jewelry brand like yours, uh, how do you understand what is it that the modern savvy women of today wants from, maybe from the point of aesthetics, maybe from the point of functionality, maybe from the point of view of experience? What does the modern woman want?
Sure. So, of course, I listen to my clients a lot, and I do appreciate feedback from my team that deals with the clients. And I'm also always keeping an eye out and a ear out for trends. But most importantly, I would say I do follow my instincts. Being a modern woman today that probably appreciates jewelry myself, I do know that the modern woman wants more than just the pretty piece. And I think when we understand that, we will go beyond the basics. So, the modern woman of today wants comfort when she's wearing the jewelry. She wants a story behind the jewelry, and she also wants to understand the value of what she's wearing, which is very enduring, because that's really what makes it well worth its while. So I spend time on the floor, of course, talking to clients whenever I have the space to be able to do that. I like to read their reactions and even, check how they wear our jewelry. So if it means them trying it on, I go through a lot of social media posts to be able to see how the jewelry is being worn because we get tagged a lot. And thank you for the buzzword. Functionality is so important when it comes to designing jewelry, especially for me, because as a person, too, utility for me is everything. Be it any kind of fashion. If you can't wear it and it's more sort of stressful for you to find a comfortable means of being able to use the piece, why bother at all? So functionality is key. And we do ensure very small details which all kind of add up. If you wear a bracelet and it's snagging at your shirt, that's a problem. So we don't take these things lightly. We will go through, this is part of the R&D. While creating a design, we will ensure that the bracelet is smooth. It's easy to open and close. Earrings that aren't too heavy, because this is a concern for the modern day woman today. And we don't like to create designs that feel heavy. I think as they may look heavy, but they should not feel heavy. I think as women ourselves, we understand that jewelry today should be empowering and not a burden. And so I design with the savvy woman in mind. She's busy, she's stylish, expressive, smart. And I think once you understand that, and answering this for men too, you should know what the woman of today wants.
Wow, I certainly am taking notes because this is great, valuable tips and insights. Thank you, Mitali. And I want to ask you about the challenges that you have faced, Mitali, while creating the Bohemian. And I also want to take a little cue from something that you mentioned a little while back about Rupa Vohra ji, which is the fact that she also created her own label. And I think she did it at a point in time which was very different from what today's world looks like. And I believe you started the brand in 2015, 2016, right? And again, that is a very different time from what today is. Uh, I'm saying this challenges bit also particularly with this context because women in jewelry space are far and few. And with you in front of us and your mother, I think there are two strong, really inspiring women in the jewelry space. That sort of are testimony to the fact that this is possible. But I'm sure it wouldn't have come easy. Uh, Mitali, if you could help us understand what were some of the challenges that you encountered, not just as a woman, but also as you were transitioning from this legacy of family brand and creating this independent identity with Bohemian.
Sure. So I think one of the biggest challenges when you do come from a legacy family would be managing expectations. And I believe a lot of people who are in the same position will, testify to that. Um, it comes with its privileges, but at the same time, you have, big shoes to fill. And in my case, I had really big shoes to fill. Like I said earlier, she started in the 90s, and the hype that comes around, just the designer tag in general, uh, that's not something that can be recreated. So to be able to create something of your own with your own voice and style while also managing expectations is a challenge in itself, but definitely one that I think I was most happy to take up. There were moments of doubt as well. Sometimes you wonder, am I going too offbeat? To begin with, when I did start in 2016 and I was looking at creating designs of a similar aesthetic, under the Rupa Vohra House of Design label, but using materials that at that point were known as lesser materials, because fine jewelry was all we knew in the early 2010s. And to be able to think forward, and kind of spot a gap in the market. It may sound fancy today as we look back, especially with the way gold is today, in terms of how high it is in terms of rate, etc. People are looking for alternatives, but back then it could be looked at as a dilution of sorts. To be able to have a vision that looks forward, of course, today I feel happy that I am ahead of the game, and there is a lot of demand for this kind of jewelry. But of course, that was a challenge back then, convincing firstly myself, as well as in general, knowing that the idea to try a completely different form of jewelry away from what you know. But I did truly believe that there was a space for something fresh and different in Indian jewelry. And, slowly, as people connected with the pieces and understood the vibe, they began to see the bohemian and the value behind the piece that we were creating, or the design that we were creating, irrespective of the kind of jewelry we were putting forward. So yeah, I think building a distinct, independent identity always comes with its challenges, and not without taking with you the learnings from where you come.
Of course. And Mithali, I want to touch upon this aspect that I read in your profile somewhere. I read on your website somewhere, which says you want to recreate Fifth Avenue style experiences, right?
Correct.
And first of all, for a noob like me, please explain what it means. But also, if you could talk a little bit about what elements of this Fifth Avenue style experiences have you been able to adapt to the Bohemian, and what do you think is what are your suggestions if anyone were to look at creating their own sort of label with this in mind?
Right. So, when I mentioned Fifth Avenue, what we're really talking about here is the luxury experience. When you shop at Fifth Avenue in New York, more than the product, it's the experience that you have, the customer service that is delivered, and you come in contact with a feeling more than okay, I'm going to buy myself XYZ. It's a whole experience, a retail experience that one is capturing. So of course, as far as the bohemian was concerned, we did strategize. We paid a lot of attention to details, like we have our signature packaging. There was a lot of R&D that went into, again, creating a certain kind of retail experience even at the stores. If it meant even delivering orders, handwritten notes, or offering, styling tips online, there should be a cohesive experience where, along with the product being luxury, even the retail experience feels like Fifth Avenue, which is basically, you're really pampered, and there's no compromise on luxury. So I think that's really how we wanted to bring that to the Indian retail experience as well.
Fabulous. Mitali, we have some pictures and I want to share them with you and maybe hear your comments on what they signify, right? Uh, Let me just put them up on the screen. Let me know if my screen's visible.
We can see, yeah.
All right. So tell us about this. I see the store, I see the interiors. Uh, Anything in particular that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so this was actually at the time that we were setting up the Bohemian. We had about 2 to 3 stores that popped up simultaneously in Mumbai city. And
Mhm.
as you can see, the whole exercise, this brick and mortar retail exercise that we were carrying out during that time, we created a certain kind of color palette for the brand, for this to be also an exercise in marketing and recall. So, in the middle, a lot of people that were driving past these stores or visiting the store at the Oberoi Hotel, they would remember it for its, the pink color. It was known as the pink store.
The
And
vivid
uh,
pink.
yeah, and very quickly after that, they connected with the name too. So,
Mhm.
these were strategies that were put in place for brand recall. Alongside this, we used to also have a calendar where we would, celebrate 12 change makers in the jewelry industry and outside of it, celebrities, actors, directors, models, etc. And we would tie up and have these collaborations and events at our store just to build recall for the brand. So yeah, this is from that time before the
This is
digital space took over.
Yeah, so this is you're talking about 2016,
That's
16, 17, right?
Mhm.
So your early years is where you emphasized really strongly on this brick and mortar experience. You're building the brand, you're creating those experiences, those memorable experiences or brand touch points.
Right.
Great tips. I think anyone who's looking to start up a new brand, I think these are great insights. Even in this uber connected digital world today. Wow. Oh my God. The love of the splash of colors over here. Beautiful.
Yeah. So, as you can see, these are some of our very popular designs in enamel and resin.
Mhm.
The ribbon bangle is one of our hot sellers on the website even till date. The brand very naturally with social media etc. Came into and very naturally embraced the digital shift that happened moving forward. But keeping in, like I mentioned earlier, keeping our personal touch intact, which is
Mhm.
what we were known for. So, our stores were, like you said, a great touch point for clients to come, experience the product, have the retail experience. And once they connected with the product and its quality, and kind of we built relationships with clients and trust grew. Bohemian became very easy to shop online as well because clients knew exactly what was going to be delivered to them. So, of course, there was an exercise that was carried out to be able to gain that trust
Mhm.
and build a bigger client base. And then, very naturally, we did move to the digital space. Wherein even today we do share our inspirations, our behind the scene moments, and stories behind each collection. Even on social media, we focus on more than just the product. It's about creating a vibe, building a community and showing the client how the jewelry fits into everyday style. And yeah, so even though we've moved to a more digital form of function now, we keep that retail experience in mind that we had through our stores as well. And today, Bohemian is available through brick and mortar as well as digital presence.
Oh, I was anyway going to ask you a little bit about digital world and the fact that you gave us that preview of everything in terms of how digital has aided, especially I believe post-pandemic,
Yes.
would have certainly sort of it did answer the question that I have, Mitali. So thank you for that.
No worries.
Um, I think this is the packaging experience that you were talking about, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And as you can see, we've ensured it's of international standard. We do have a lot of trunk shows that we organize in India as well as abroad. And our clients range from the local Mumbaiker to, the American clients that we have as well as all over the world. So the global standard of the product has been maintained. And yeah, that is part of the packaging, as you can see.
Great. Just a quick question, Mithali. Help me understand what is a trunk show and uh, can any brand start seeing doing that or deploying that as a touch point? Or is there certain sort of a brand experience that you wanted to create and you felt that this is the channel that I needed to build it?
Yeah, I definitely would say that firstly, a trunk show is, your point of contact with your client, where you can have a personal interaction and they get to know about your brand and they get to buy from you. I definitely don't recommend it just for anybody off the bat. I do feel that it should be something that your brand connects with your as a person, your personality, etc., is one that is of relationship building, and a lot of the efforts that go into trunk shows go beyond making sale. So a lot of brands will think that's the exercise that's being carried out, while a big part of this activity is just to be able to connect with clients and build long lasting relationships. So I would definitely recommend this to people if that's what their motivation is. But if it comes to conversion and sale, there are many other ways to do it, and everyone should figure out, what works best for the brand, be it online or people, visiting your store, or just word of mouth. You have print, press, and there's a lot of other ways of reaching out to your clientele. Instagram.
Of course, exactly. And that is social media, of course, for that. Okay. Please talk a little bit more. I see that with Pink, of course, but I also spot celebrities. When and how did this happen, and how did that sort of aid your brand journey, Mitali?
Sorry, I think we lost connection.
Sorry. I Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Hi. Sorry. So I was talking about this particular slide that I put up, and one, of course, I see that there is that vivid pink, and the of course the whole experience of colors. But I also spot celebrities. So I wanted to understand, how did that sort of figure out in this entire brand journey of yours?
Sure. So, of course, where you have friends, you will invite friends to your openings, etc. But like I said, the Bohemian in general also ensured there was product placement that, was an activity that we were carrying out consistently. And that was to ensure that the product was visible and we reached more people. So we did have events from time to time at the store, and a lot of our brand ambassadors were Bollywood stars. And very recently, we launched a line, that celebrates moissanite, which I prefer to lab-grown diamonds. Just in general, they're two completely different things, but the Bohemian uses moissanites to imitate the diamond, and we were doing a set of classic pieces, and for which we had the actress Ravina Tandon very generously model for us and help us spread awareness about that line. So we do regularly have PR activities that we carry out, and a lot of our clients are from the industry, so you will see a lot of them wear the pieces as well.
Mhm, mhm. I particularly, when I look at this ring, I remember the fact that you spoke about how black onyx and jade and all of these
Yeah.
are something that you've been able to create in resins, and uh, particularly this particularly caught my eye. Uh, yeah, and of course, these are the celebrity endorsements that you were talking about, the brand ambassadors. Those have helped you promote those specific collections. Uh, Help me understand one thing, Mitali. Now, whenever we talk to, interestingly, in our previous edition of Evolve, we had someone from Jaipur, Akriti Surana, an alumni, and she mentioned that she was able to sort of break through into the whole sort of Bollywood uh, um, endorsement arena by not paying and not sort of incurring that as a marketing expense. Eh, she lucked out. That's what she says, and she says that it happened very organically. She was on a flight with the one of the production crew members of Sanjay Leela Bansali production, and they wanted an order for, I believe it was Ram Leela or some movie that they were creating at that time, and it organically clicked. That led her to other production houses, Yash Raj, and a few others. Now, that is one way of doing it, and the other way is, of course, where uh, you have celebrity endorsements as a part of your marketing exercise, and you clearly want to build out that brand, and you as the marketing lead of that, you look at that clearly as an investment, right? uh, how does one sort of what would be your advice to someone who's starting out, and what would be their way to sort of get the Bollywood to look at these pieces, to maybe endorse them, uh, and how could they go about it? What would your advice be?
Right. So, I was actually going to kind of modify there where we use the word endorsement. So, like you said, endorsement involves actually, like a strategy where you've kept a certain amount of your budget for celebrities endorsing. And I believe a lot of the jewelers do that. Of course, in my case, it's a little more specific. The mother brand brought that privilege.
Mhm.
There were many connections that were made very early on in the career, and fortunately, there have been a lot of Bollywood supporters organically. So I wouldn't actually call it an endorsement. I do have that privilege wherein I can extend an invitation, and there are people that are have been a muse for the brand, collaborated with the brand in the past organically, or they just enjoy the design, and would want to wear something to a red carpet event, or just have something designed for them. Many a times we'll have them come to us and say, design me a piece for this and this occasion. So that in that sense, one has been able to capitalize on style in terms of understanding what celebrities enjoy wearing and making more of that. We have also worked on many movies, and Bohemian as well as Rupa Vohra House of Design just completed a film featuring Ananya Pandey called Control. Again, the directors come to us, and we are assigned projects only basis the fact that we can deliver that quality and design. So that way, a lot of this work happens, in terms of two different industries supporting each other, and
Right.
that's really how it's been. Where it comes to budgeting and people who are starting off, I would definitely suggest keeping a part of your budget or assigning a part of your budget to getting the word out there and getting your design seen. And I think from there, it kind of just rolls. The right people will reach out to you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. So if you're able to put out your work, the right people see it. I see that there's little bit of luck involved in it as well. But of course, over a period of time, concerted efforts that you put in will get your product, will get your jewelry across to the right audience. They'll see it and they'll reach out to you, and
And
they,
of course, the design has to warrant it as well. So, definitely keep that in mind.
of course, of course. Uh, just a quick question, Mitali. If a really big movie director would come to you, someone that you personally admire, right? And they were to say, Mitali, this is what I want. This is what I want from the Bohemian. Uh, this is probably not your style. I particularly want, let's say, precious gemstones. I don't want all this resin stuff. Would that be something that would you be okay with? Would that be something that you would take up?
Honestly, I'm thinking that someone would come to you basis the fact that they
Of
enjoy what
course.
you're making. But I will share with you a very interesting experience I had about 2 years ago. I was approached by a big director and a stylist who was a friend, and there was a song that had to be shot, and in very short notice, in about 48 hours. And it was less about the fact that they didn't want resin and this and that. It was more about the fact that they had a very specific look in mind, and it needed to go with the costume and all of that. And we had very little time to kind of create it. But as a favor to a friend, I think we worked overtime, and it was crazy. We connected earrings, we dropped, pendants, and it was supposed to be like a headpiece that they wanted.
Okay.
Uh, I won't take names at this point, but we did end up actually, they ended up using it and for the video, and for that segment of the film in the song. And but it took hours, I mean, we were just connecting little pieces, elements, and it wasn't probably something that we would have had ready with us. But we made that exception and we made it happen, and it was great fun.
Beautiful, beautiful. I can imagine. I think jewelry itself is already exciting. Creating jewelry is already exciting, and add to that timeline pressure, and I think wonders can happen. All right. All right. Talk to me about this. The images that you see over here. This is, of course, the classic vivid
Sure.
pink. Uh, what's this? What is it that you're holding?
Sorry, I think we lost connection. Yeah,
Sorry.
the image on the right. Yeah, the
Yes.
image on the right was actually the Pret line that we started under the Bohemian, and it was like a luxury destination collection. When destination weddings became, all the rage back then, everybody was going, even till date. You see, destination weddings is a trend, and a lot of people wanted to carry heavy looking Indian jewelry. Was not in the fine category, something that, while dancing or having a good time or having to travel with, they were not concerned with it being gold and diamonds. And, we saw a gap in the market for that. And of course, we quickly jumped onto the trend. And I think we created actually a whole line much before it became a trend in 2015 and 16. And we've continued to innovate and just kind of improve on the quality even more. So what you see there is that a piece from, a mold being made for one of our pieces from the destination line. That's Ghat. Yeah.
All right. Uh, Back to some more Q&A. I definitely wanted to touch a little bit on uh, everything to do with digital, right? You mentioned e-commerce is a great way for people to shop online at the Bohemian, but this is primarily for someone who's already had a touch and feel, who's had the in-store experience. Um, so if that's the case for repeat business, what does it mean for uh, getting new business? Is social media primarily just to put word out there? And if that's the case, uh, most people in the jewelry business believe the more you put out your work over there, especially with jewelry design, uh, the more easier it is to get copied. The more easier it is. Sorry, I hope I was able to get through.
Yeah, the last line is a little incoherent. Sorry, we broke. Yeah.
Sorry. So Mitali, what I was saying is there is always this worry that most people in the trade believe that the more designs that we put up online, it's more easy that you'll get ripped off, you'll get copied, and there'll be many more alternatives to what you wanted to create. So while there is this amazing world of social media that helps you reach out to millions of people, and on the other hand, you have this worry. How do you navigate this, right? And what does social media in a nutshell mean to you? And how do you as a brand sort of use it to your advantage.
Right. So, have been ripped off many, many times. And, I think that's something that comes with part and parcel of being visible and having your designs loved. And then, they say mimicry is a great form of appreciation. I beg to differ, but 100% there has been a lot of ripping off that social media. I've actually seen some Instagram handles where they will take your product shoot and then they will try reselling your product through your product shoot. So, it will have nothing to do with your brand, but your pictures are all over. I've seen that not just with the fashion jewelry, I have also seen that with the mother brand fine jewelry. It is disappointing, but like I said, it's something that is a part and parcel, and social media has its pros and cons. I think the benefit as far as Bohemian was concerned, because I kind of did foresee this happening, fashion jewelry is very easy to rip off because the material doesn't, you don't require that, kind of budget as well. So to be able to, step away from this completely, part of the manufacturing was controlled outside of India, and I think this was one of my motivations, to be able to ensure a quality that is not easily replicable and becomes your USP as well. So I think that is one place where we overcame the challenge quite easily in the non-Indian kind of designs, but wherein there was an Indian aesthetic, a completely the destination jewels, etc. We have seen a lot of that. That said, enough social media bashing. I think social media is something that requires its due credit. It's a place where, at least for our brand, we tell our brand story. Not just we don't just post our products. So I think the way we look at it is we treat it a bit like a conversation space or a conversation starter for new clients as well. We don't just share our jewelry, we're also sharing our inspirations, we're sharing our collaborations with our muses, styling tips, behind the scenes which our clients love, and even little clips of my own journey as a designer and entrepreneur as I continue on this mission. And I want people to be able to connect with the human behind the brand. I think that's something that's really important to both Bohemian as well as the mother brand, and we have, maintained that from the start. Social media allows us to do that. We also, I think, connect with our clients by reposting client pictures, which kind of keeps them excited. And we answer our DMs, the direct messages that come about a product. And we do that, we engage pretty genuinely, which means if a client requires time understanding the product, we always have a sales associate ready to explain to them what's in the product, price details, etc. And I've always believed, like, even social media depends on how you see your client. For us, our client is a collaborator, somebody that we're inviting into our space and saying, come and enjoy this space with us. So be it our store or be it social media, when clients understand the thought and the feeling that goes behind the piece that they're wearing or the brand, their loyalty becomes beyond just the purchase. And I think you can manage that anywhere. You can manage it through social media as well.
Amazing. One last question to you, Mitali, before so this is my last serious question. Let me be
Sure.
clear with that. Uh, what advice would you have for emerging women entrepreneurs who are trying to build a lifestyle and a sort of a fashion forward brand, jewelry brand from scratch for the modern women of today?
Sure. So I would say start with clarity. Know exactly what you stand for, so you can kind of understand and picture what your brand will stand for, even if it evolves. Definitely, keep away from following trends blindly. You can't please everybody, right? So understand what your niche is, what your segment is, and people will find you. And you have to believe in your taste, your story, your way of doing things. I think that's very imperative, even in terms of your design aesthetic forming, because it can get diluted very quickly if there are too many voices.
Mhm.
Consistency is definitely more important in design than, perfection. So if you can keep showing up and keep creating with a strong voice, I think, and knowing what you stand for, you will keep delivering and people will notice. um, and definitely, like I mentioned before, through social media or otherwise, build a vision, make sure that you're also building relationships, long standing relationships, and it's not just transaction based. It's great to have a figure in mind and chase conversion and sale. That's all very exhilarating as an approach in the start. Or like, I manage this milestone or this goal number wise. But I think something that is sustainable is uh, building those relationships that'll take you really far. You learn to listen to your client. You'll stay curious, and most importantly, never let go of your personal touch while you're creating. That's really important. It's what will set you apart from a saturated market. And if your brand and your design feels honest and authentic,
Mhm.
uh, people will feel that and they will continue to buy from you.
Fantastic. Uh, so, couple of questions which are a little lighter. Mitali, if I were to ask you which is your favorite gemstone, right? And let's exclude diamonds, all right? You have done your fair share of diamonds with the GIA program, which has also gotten you sick on the day of your exam. So diamonds out, all right? And especially because you love colors, uh, tell me what's your favorite gemstone? And we could do top three because I know you love colors.
I love colors, but I also love diamonds.
Diamonds, no, no. Okay, one
Diamonds
rule.
are out. Diamonds are out. Okay. So I think one of the Rupa Vohra House of Design specials is the emerald. And recently we've been using a lot of Russian emerald, which was so new for the market. I think a lot of people confused it with aquamarine and jade and all kinds of things. So I would definitely say top of the list, emerald. I love tanzanite. So that would be number two. And three, like I said, I'm a huge Art Deco fan. So I find the moonstone very interesting. Opals, moonstones at three. Yeah,
Fantastic. I love Tanzanite personally. I'm a December baby, so
there you
uh,
go.
love that. Um, okay. I don't know if it's a lighter question or a serious one, but you choose. You pick. Mitali, if a book were to be written about your life,
Right.
what would you choose its title to be? Okay, let's rule out the Bohemian.
I was just
Oh
going to say the Bohemian.
God. Oh, if a book was to be written on my life, I don't know. I'd like a title that's non-conventional and non-binding, something like Unwritten or something like that, completely. Um, it could be, well, if it's jewelry related, something to do with a gemstone, studded, or, something interesting like that. Let's keep it at unwritten. So, so,
Yeah,
so it's not labeled in any way.
true. Love that. Love that. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mitali. It was lovely chatting with you.